How to remember everything, from numbers to poems, from formulas to names, with humor, usefulness, and no headache. Introduction. Why do you think you have a bad memory? Imagine you go to a meeting and your colleague says, "Hi, I'm Alexander Petrov, sales manager. My phone number is 89,151,130,4567, and by the way, I love chocolate." You nod, smile, even try to remember. But 10 minutes later, who was that? Alexei, Petya, or Vova? Sound familiar? Then you are not alone. Millions of people worldwide think, I have a bad memory. I can't remember things. But this is a mistake, because your memory is not a computer hard drive that can break. It's an organ that works if you use it correctly. It's like if you didn't know how to drive and then said, the car has a bad engine. No. The engine works, you just don't know how to use the pedals. It's the same with memory. It can do anything if you know how. Chapter 1. How does memory work? Or why you forget what you had for breakfast. Memory is not a box where you put information and then take it out. It's a network, maze, map, story. And to remember something, you need to create the right map. Make a route, leave road signs. Imagine you're walking in an unfamiliar city. If you just follow GPS, you won't remember where you went. But if you see that tower over there, walk past the fountain, turn left at the store, you remember. Because you were interested, you paid attention, you created associations. It's the same with memory. Just repeating is like following GPS without paying attention. Associations, images, stories are like a real walk where everything is remembered. Chapter 2. Memorization methods with humor. 1. Association method, or how to turn boring numbers into comedy. Let's say you need to remember a phone number, 89,151,130,4567. If you just read it, 892512345667, you'll forget it in 30 seconds. But if you create a story, for example, 8 cats, 9 mice, 2 dogs, 5 pies, 1 cat, 2 friends, 3 brothers, 4 corners, 5 fingers, 6 chairs, 7 owls, 7 nannies. And now you can tell a story, 8 cats, 9 mice who stole 5 pies, and each pie had 1 cat, 2 friends, and 3 brothers who sat on 4 corners with 5 fingers on 6 chairs with 7 nannies. Sounds silly. Yes. And is it memorable? Yes. 2. Method of loci, or how your house became a library. Imagine you build a virtual house where every room is information. You enter the living room, there's history. In the kitchen, math. In the bathroom, foreign words. In the bedroom, formulas. Now, when you need to remember, you just walk through the house. You go into the kitchen, you remember that 1 equals 2, and Einstein's formula, and your friend's name. Alexei, a programmer from Novosibirsk, memorized 100 German words just by placing them in rooms. Tish table, in the dining room, house, in the hallway, auto car, in the garage. And now he walks through the house like it's a dictionary. 3. Mnemonics, or how to turn formulas into rhymes. Have you ever heard, every hunter wants to know where the pheasant sits? That's a mnemonic for the colors of the rainbow. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Simple, yes. Memorable, yes. Now imagine that everything can be turned into a rhyme. For example, the formula equals MC. You could say, energy is a bowl of porridge, where mass is honey, and light is like a spoon in it, and it's all like a code. Sounds weird. Yes. But is it memorable? Yes. Chapter 3. How to remember numbers. Remembering numbers, from dates to PIN codes. Numbers are the hardest because they are abstract. But if you turn numbers into images, it becomes easy. There is the major system. Each digit is assigned a sound, 0. Z, S, TS round shape, 1. T, D1 post, 2. And 2 legs, 3 meter, 3 sticks in the letter -4. RR. Sounds like foreign Russian. Note, this is a phonetic system, often based on English Russian sounds. The explanation might be adapted: 5 bell, 5 fingers, 6 sh, zh, 6 ow hissing sound, 7 ow k, g7 like k and 7, 8 ow v, f8 like v, 9 p, b9 like b now. 1975 equals TPKL. You can make a word: Topka stove, Pokal goblet, top call. And now you recall not digits, but an image. Irina, a teacher from Riga, memorized 20 dates in 5 minutes just by turning them into words. 1812 equals TFDN equals Chofdian, a made-up word. 1945 equals TPRL equals Topper X. And suddenly, everything came back to her. Chapter 4. How to remember poems. Poems, not torture, but a dance. Many people think greater than poems are hard. You need to remember every word. No. Poems are a story, rhythm, emotions. If you understand what the poet is saying, you remember it. For example, Pushkin's poem I Remember a Wonderful Moment, greater than I remember a wonderful moment, greater than before me you appeared, greater than like a fleeting vision, greater than like a genius of pure beauty. Don't try to memorize the words. Imagine, greater than you see a woman who appears, like a vision, like an angel, like a dream. And now you are not memorizing lines, but reproducing emotions. Maria, an actress from Tbilisi, memorizes poems by simply immersing herself in the image. She becomes the poet, feels, breathes, speaks. And suddenly, it all comes naturally. Chapter 5. How to remember foreign words, languages. Not a punishment, but an adventure. Have you ever noticed that an English gift is a present, but in German a gift is poison? Sounds like a joke. Yes. And is it memorable? Yes. Associations, the best way to remember foreign words. For example, apple equals Apelsin, orange in Russian, but with I, Emmy, Yabloko apple. Note, this is a Russian-specific association. A more universal example might be needed. Let's adjust. Apple sounds like a pull. Imagine pulling an apple from a tree. Book equals book like in bookverb, primer. Cat equals caught like caught. Anton, a student from Yekaterinburg, memorized 300 words in one day just by making stories out of them. Elephant, elephant fantasy, like an elephant that flies. Butterfly, butterfly, buttery, butterfly, fly. And suddenly, everything was remembered. Chapter 6. How to remember names and faces. Names, not enemies, but keys. Have you ever approached someone and thought, greater than what's their name? And they look at you expecting you to remember them, and you panic. But there's a method. Immediately make an association. Mikhail, Mishal, bear. Anna, announcement. Vladimir, Vlad, ruler from to rule. And now you don't just hear a name, but create an image. Mikhail, a bear. Anna, an advertisement. Vladimir, a Tsar. Elena and our manager from Minsk remembers names by simply making jokes. Andrei, android robot. Sergei, sergeant soldier. And now she remembers everyone and is respected. Chapter 7. How to remember formulas and laws. Formulas, not horror, but logic. Many people fear formulas because they think they need to memorize them by rote. No. Formulas are stories, connections, relationships. For example, E equals mc. You can think greater than energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Or you can think greater than mass is power and light is its speed. And now you understand, not memorize by rote. Dmitry, an engineer from Moscow, remembers formulas by simply turning them into fairy tales. F equals ma force is mass that accelerates. And he imagines how mass runs and force pushes it. And suddenly, everything is clear. Chapter 8. How to remember books, lectures, courses. Information, not garbage, but building material. When you read a book, listen to a lecture, take a course, you can forget everything. Because you don't process the information. Make a summary in the form of a diagram, story, associations. For example, the book 1984 by Orwell. Instead of greater than there was Big Brother and everything was bad, you can think greater than a world where everything is controlled, where thoughts are forbidden, where a person loses themselves. And now you remember, not just the plot, but the idea. Alexander, a student from St. Petersburg, remembers courses by simply turning them into comics. Formulas, characters, ideas, dialogues, events, actions. And now he remembers everything and gets excellent grades. Chapter 9, How to Remember with Humor. The best learning assistant. Humor is not just laughter, it's attention, emotions, connection. When you laugh, you remember. For example, to remember the order of the planets, you can use greater than my very educated mother just served us noodles. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Or you can make up your own, greater than my Venus eats many juicy strawberries under Neptune. Sounds silly. Yes. Memorable. Yes. Evgeny, a psychologist from Kiev, teaches students by simply making everything fun. Formulas like jokes, theories like stories, knowledge like adventures. And now he is loved and everyone remembers everything. Chapter 10, Practical Tips, How to Start Remembering Effectively. 1. Don't learn everything at once. Take breaks. 2. Create associations. Turn everything into images. 3. Repeat at intervals. Don't cram. 4. Explain to others like a rehearsal. 5. Use humor. Laughter helps you remember. 6. Take notes. Don't just read. 7. Create connections between topics, words, facts. 8. Review before sleep. The brain processes at night. 9. Use colors. Colors are remembered better. 10. Believe in yourself. Your memory works. Chapter 11, How to Remember Quickly. Speed memorization. Not a trick, but a skill. Want to remember quickly. Then don't repeat, but understand. Don't read, but process. Don't cram, but create. The 5-minute method. -1 minute. Create an association. 2 minutes. Create an image. 1 minute. Repeat. 1 minute. Explain it to yourself. Olga, a translator from Almaty, memorizes 100 words in 10 minutes just by making stories out of them. And now she speaks 5 languages and never forgets. Chapter 12, How to Remember Without Stress. Calmness is your ally. When you are stressed, your brain doesn't work. It blocks, forgets, resists. Therefore, don't push yourself too hard. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Take breaks. Sleep, eat, breathe. Anna, a designer from Tbilisi, forgot everything until she started resting. After a night's sleep, she remembered what she couldn't for 3 days. Chapter 13, How to Remember with Pleasure. Pleasure is the best motivator. If you enjoy learning, you remember faster. If it's boring, nothing works. Play, create, laugh, be amazed. Victor, a teacher from Baku, makes lessons fun. Formulas in the form of fairy tales, knowledge in the form of games, learning in the form of adventures. And now everyone learns with pleasure. Finale, you don't forget. You just didn't know how to remember. You are not stupid. You are not dumb. You don't have a bad memory. You just didn't know how your brain works, how it remembers, how it processes. Now you know, now you can, now you are a memory master. Subscribe to not miss new videos. Like if you found this useful. Write in the comments what you want to remember next. Share if you want to help others. Your memory is your superhero, and it's ready to work now, right now.